Speaking of Navy, oh boy, they get a chance to see the Irish, but in the past, Marcus Freeman has shared that when he tells his defense, like, look, play loose, play free, don't worry about the technical details. You can throw that out because this week when it comes to Navy and that triple option, you might want to rethink that theory because, boy, it's a different type of unit when you're talking about the midshipmen who are averaging 44.8 points a game. In other words, they also have a passing game this time, guys. This meeting has some history behind it. The Battle of the Rip Miller Trophy, Notre Dame, of course, running away with that in that department, 82-13-1. And then Notre Dame, they've won 6 straight and 11 of the last 12 when it comes to Navy. But as I mentioned, different team. Navy 6-0 for the first time since 1979. We'll see if they can get to 7-0. But, of course, they have to get past the Fighting Irish and, somebody else. Ryan Harris. And I think he's a little nervous coming into today because when you saw what the midship have been doing all season long, I think you are, but I'll let you defer to that. When you look at what Navy has accomplished this year and how they've taken the game to another level, what makes them so dangerous and a threat come Saturday?
The first is their quarterback, Blake Horvath, and the second is their receiver, running back, fullback, and tight end, Alex Tezka. I mean, the offense for Navy is really elite. Yes, they have the triple option, but the passing game is where it has never been, in my opinion, looking at Navy teams and playing against Navy teams. But Blake Horvath, the quarterback, has been making throws. Defensively, Navy is always going to be great. And I know it sounds strange to many people, but you're talking about a defense who is more willing to do anything they can than they are wanting to be perfect. And that's where the elite production really comes. Some of the biggest hits in college football happen in these games. And then the weird part is because the majority of these players are going to be serving our country, you hear weird things on the field like, great tackle, let me help you up. And so it's such a weird environment to be in as a football player. But Navy is elite this year because of their offense and their defense.
Does that throw your game off? You know, you're talking about discipline, like this is the game, like they play for this. Does that kind of throw your psyche off when you're on the opposite side?
Yes, it throws your psyche off, especially because a lot of guys are wild. Everybody's seen the Maverick films or Navy SEALs films, right? They want to be strong and tough. And you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go against a guy who's going to be battle-hardened and ready to go. And all of a sudden they say, hey, great hit. I mean, when have you ever heard that? You don't even hear that in boxing or bumper cars, right? So it really is a testament to the quality of people that choose to go to the military academies, and especially with the Notre Dame Navy rivalry that's gone back almost 100 years now. I never had to lose to Navy, but I got close twice, Brandon, and you are thankful after every game against Navy. And one of the things people forget, too, it really brings a challenge of health to your team because of the way with that triple option, the linemen dive at legs and things of that nature. But Marcus Freeman and the Irish practiced a little bit against that triple option in their bye week 2 weeks ago, and they'll be ready come game time in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey on Saturday.
Yeah, Navy not the only academy showing off this year. We saw it on that graphic. Army also undefeated and in the rankings. What are we watching between both of them and their success when you look at both academies here?
You want to have one of those teams stay undefeated and be in the playoffs. Look, I got to play with different players who went to the Naval Academy, West Point, like Alejandro Villanueva, the longtime left tackle for the Steelers. This is quality, not only individuals, but quality football. And it is great for the service academies who do not have any advantage in recruiting. You tell me what their NIL money looks like, Brandon. It's not going to be great, right? But this is great for football. And in the NFL, some of the best teammates come from service academies because they're willing to work hard. They understand chain of command. They never complain. So I think America's cheering for Army or Navy to be undefeated. And me, because I'm a Notre Dame guy, I'm going to say neither because Notre Dame plays both of them in New York City over the next month.
It must be the best 2 jobs in the country when you're talking about an athletic director because you don't have to worry about NIL and guys are committed to the program for 4 years because they're not trying to go to the league. So that's something we don't see around the rest of the college sports landscape there. But assuming, let's go back to your Fighting Irish, your home there, Notre Dame, let's say if they do take care of business on the road. Final 4 games, though, you got Florida State, UAV, a ranked Army team, assuming, and USC. If they run the table, could we be talking about CFP here?
We will be talking about a CFP, provided they can run the table. And the strange part is it's not as much the opponents Notre Dame's going to play, But think about this. They're flying from New York back to South Bend to host Florida State. And then they're going to have Virginia. Then they're flying back to New York to play in Yankee Stadium. Pretty cool. Also a big distraction. And then they're flying all the way back across the country to play USC after Thanksgiving. So sleep is going to be important for this Notre Dame team with all these frequent flyer miles. But this is how you finish. And I'm so excited, Brandon, for college football players to experience the difference of a playoff type atmosphere. You have to ramp up as the schedule winds down, regardless of the opponent. And Notre Dame, especially offensively, has really struggled in the second half for much of the season. So a lot to work out for the Irish so that when they get to the playoffs, it's not a one and done, that they can play and have a chance to win a national championship, which I believe they can do.
Oh, okay. I hope to see you, on the field as well if that happens. Can we get that option? Yeah.
I cost too much money for them. They can't afford me, Brandon. They can't afford me.
Didn't know you had NIL as well. Ron Harris is always painting the perfect picture for us when it comes to college football heading into Saturday. But before we get to Saturday, tonight we get action there in the Mountain West. Boise State, you know what that means? Aston Genty, one of the favorites to maybe win the Heisman. Number 17, Boise State taking on UNLV in a game that the Rebels need when it comes to maybe one of those G5 schools getting into the college football playoffs. That one tonight at 10:30 Eastern on CBS Sports Network.